It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the DSP. This show is brought to you by Backbone USA. It's a disc golf company out in Spencerport, New York. They're going to be closed, I think, for a couple weeks, but be reopened with an all-new storefront and a phenomenal website that'll meet all your disc golf needs even more. So tonight's episode is going to be our first ever player check-in. The guest tonight caught my attention during this off-season because the off-season around here is you just hang out and kind of snowed in all the time. So, yeah, that's the winter around here. So I watch a lot of reels and watch other people posting stuff. And this guy got my attention. He's been putting in a lot of work, been grinding hard, asking lots of questions. I've been seeing him pop up on a lot of different discussion pages. His reels that he puts out there, he's constantly improving, constantly looking for ways to improve his game. Phenomenal. That's definitely speaks volumes to me. I like talking to people like that. I like watching people like that because it's all about the grind. The grind is how you get better. So let's see if we can bring tonight's guest in. Here we go. Sent you an invite. Let's see. Justin, how's it going, buddy?
Joshua, how you doing today? I appreciate you having me on here.
Hey, no problem. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Like you were saying there, just been putting in work lately and, practicing my field work at least 3 times a week and hitting the courses lately. It's been great.
Heck yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What previous sports did you have before you got into disc golf? And how'd you even get into disc golf?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Justin. I've been playing disc golf now for coming up on 2 years. I'll get back to that in a second. Growing up, I kind of a weird background, actually. I was a gymnast, a dancer, but I also played football, basketball for a few years, wrestling, track and field. So I had a very athletic upbringing, I can say. But let's get into disc golf now. So about 2 years ago, my father actually asked for a starter set. Kind of started out as a, hey, you got me the starter set. Will you want to play around with me? Full transparency, wasn't a big fan in the beginning, right? I had a few different starter sets, right? Every single disc went very hard left and very, very short. Let's just say that. And then we ended up taking a few months off. It was, not to get emotional here, but my father got diagnosed with cancer. So we just took some time off. He's cancer-free now. It's great. So happy story. And then when we got back into it, you kind of have those talks with yourself when those big things in life happens. And this just became an opportunity to spend time with my dad and, to do a sport that I haven't done ever and something I can improve on. So I'd say I've been playing about 1.5 years now is more realistic because we took those 6 months off. But I've been in love with it ever since we got back into it, basically.
That's really cool. So, what is the disc golf scene like down there for you? Do you guys even have an off season? Or are you guys able to play all year round?
So, I'm just entering the competitive scene. But however, we have leagues at, I want to say at least every course I've ever been to, I've been invited to join a league that week, which is really cool to see. No off season, like you were saying. We have tournaments year round, which is just, the beauty of living in Florida. Our worst days, I had my first ever tournament. This was back November. It was only 1 round, C-tier. It was just, I was experimenting. I was like, do I want to do tournaments? Maybe I'll just try it out. It was the worst day of the year, of course, but it was only 55 degrees. So can I complain? Not really, right?
Yeah, because we just had a tournament the other day, and we teed off early in the morning. It was like 40 degrees and a little bit of rain. So it's like, cool.
I could never. I'm from Cleveland originally, so I grew up in those, colder weathers, lake effect snow. I know how it is. My body has adjusted to Florida. I could never make it out there in New York. I commend you guys, but I could never do it.
Yeah. So, like during the summer, obviously it gets really hot there. Do you guys still play through all that heat, or do you guys kind of back off a little bit, or?
Yeah, so that's funny. This is the way I like to explain it, right? Your winter is like my summer. You really don't want to be outside when it's bad. 95 degrees is very hard to throw in. It becomes kind of an endurance test, if you will. So we actually have a group that we like to join. They're called Early Birds out here in Orlando, Florida. We play at a course called Champions Point. Phenomenal course. I think it's rated three or four in the state. And that gets started at 8 a.m. So it's not quite hot yet. It's just at that nice 7 degrees. And then when we're finishing up our round, it's normally about 90. So yeah, we try to stay inside later in the day.
That makes sense. But that's
Yeah.
still pretty cool that you're able to get out because, like, the off season here, it's the winter. So if you get out in the snow, it's like good luck. You're doing standstills and just long putts because that's all you can do.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. I'm very fortunate to be in Florida because, like I said, we don't have an off season, which I think I can credit to kind of my growth. I'm going to talk a little bit about the competitive scene, if that's all right with you.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
perfect. So my first tournament, full transparency, my son was born just 6 weeks before this tournament, and I was missing him like crazy. So every missed putt became, should I just go home? Should this be a DNF, right? So it wasn't the best round. I ended up shooting 8 over. I think I was about 802 rated originally. And then fast forwarding a little bit to my second tournament ever, which was an A tier. That was another beast. That was crazy. I've never played 36 holes in a day in my life, and then I had to do it where they counted. So that was pretty fun. But ended up doing really well. I ended up scoring about 856 on the entire
Ooh,
tournament. Took fourth place, so I was extremely happy to be on lead cards. That was really
that's
fun.
awesome.
hmm It was great. And then I just had a tournament last weekend now. So
Yep.
that was a great tournament as well. That one we can dive into a little bit. I started off very well in day one. I executed my game plan. When I missed my game plan, I was able to salvage a par still. It was a phenomenal round. I think I was 7 under, shooting 899 or 902 in that range.
Heck yeah.
Um, which was awesome, right? And then day two comes around, and I was +2 through 10 holes. Uh, Not where you want to be, where you were just -7 the previous day. So I went from first place, and I dropped all the way down. I want to say I was tied for sixth, was the lowest I dropped to. So very big swing. But my card mates, I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple guys here in Orlando, the local scene. Joe, I had Sean, and I had, oh gosh, who's on my card? Now I'm blanking. Oh, now I feel so bad. Oh my gosh, it was just last weekend. When you're a parent, you forget everything. Everything's
Oh
happened
yeah,
so
I know how that is.
I'm gonna shout out somebody randomly in the middle of the show. I'm just gonna remember it, and I'm like, "Hey, shout out!" Just so you
Perfect.
know. So they were great. They were being super encouraging. They were helping me get out of my own head. And in the last 7 holes, I ended up scoring and finishing -3. So I think I had a five point swing in the last 10 or 8 holes, which was phenomenal for me. I was very excited about that, and it was really cool to see myself dig myself into a hole and kind of have to get out of it, if you will.
Heck yeah.
So that was a great learning experience, and I had a blast. I finished second, so I was super happy with myself. My goal was top five, so I'm not mad that I was in first and I dropped out of it. Can't be, right? I wasn't expecting to win. To win a tournament, you got to be on your
Oh yeah.
game, and I wasn't. So
Yeah. And it's really cool to hear you be able to fight back into that mentally because a lot of people will fold at that point. Oh, I dropped down six. It's over. I give up. I'm just going to throw random shots now.
yeah, and I'm going to use this a little bit as a segue, just because I want to kind of talk about my journey as a disc golf player a little bit,
Heck
because a
yeah.
lot has changed recently. So going to my first tournament and my second tournament, both of those, I was a primary forehand player. I in my first ever tournament, I lost the disc that I leaned on extremely heavily. I think we have every tee shot. I lost it in a tournament my second hole.
Oh,
So
no.
70% of my shots was with this, and I don't even want to admit what it was, but I'm going to, okay? It was a Discraft flick. Have you ever heard of a flick?
No, I'm not. I'm only familiar with Trilogy. I've never dabbled with anything else.
Okay, well, you're going to appreciate some of my discs I show you here in a second.
That.
My first run Felon right here.
Yep.
This is my original baby. But, okay, so Discraft flick, flight numbers 12, 3, 1, 5. So 12 speed, that's ridiculously overstable. I would throw it practically vertical, and it would finish to the right still on forehand. Lost that disc in hole 2, and that was my turning point as a player, because now I had nothing that I can lean on that I knew what would happen. All of my other discs in my bag, they were great. Like, I was bagging a Felon at the time, and I knew I could work with them, but they weren't my go-to shots anymore. So going into my second tournament, now that I lost that disc, I had to completely relearn everything. I had to relearn how to drive off the tee, forehand form, because I quickly learned that even my most overstable disc, actually, we can share a little story about when we were talking about the Felons, because I want to apologize, okay? So let's just have it right here, because this is gold. This is gold. So we had a discussion, we'll call it a discussion, about the Felons. And I want to apologize because I was wrong. This was probably 6 months ago now when we met each other.
I think so.
Yeah, about then. And my take was that the Felons were very inconsistent. What was actually happening was me, and you told me this at the time, okay? But I was rolling my wrist, and me, the player, was inconsistent. And I, for months, was practicing with Felons, but I wasn't a good player yet, so I just didn't understand that, right?
Yeah.
So I just have to sit here and say, I am so sorry. The Felons are back in the bag. They are phenomenal. That 904 stability
is phenomenal.
Just phenomenal. Those technical S-lines, it's just a great disc. So I do want to say sorry, you were right.
The only reason I knew that is because I went through that same thing. I went down that same road, identical. So when I seen you type that out, it was like, dude, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me tell you what the reason is. That'll save you months.
You actually did, because I probably wouldn't have found this out myself for another year or so of progress, right?
Yeah.
So I have to say thank you as well. Let me pivot back into where I was going with my story there. I had to pivot for the Felons, of course. So because I lost my baby, my favorite disc, I had to relearn everything. I had to relearn how to throw all of my discs. I just had to learn how to become a disc golfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing so, I hit a certain point, but I just couldn't get any better because I just was leaning on a forehand. I would never throw a backhand. Only backhand throws for my entire second tournament were putts, the entire round. Fast forward to my latest tournament, which was 3 months following the second one there. Mm-hmm. I'm primarily a backhand player now.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. So it is really cool because at first my backhand looked like a toddler trying to throw a plate, right? And it went about 50 feet. Mm-hmm. And now I'm consistently out driving my forehand, and the lines are much more consistent.
Yep.
So it's just a great progress to see.
And to top everything else off, you're one of the few players that can not only forehand really well, but you can also backhand really well. And a lot of people struggle with that. So because we start off as forehand dominant players, and now we have a good backhand, now we can attack either way.
I think that's one of the most important things in disc golf. And if there was anything that I would say that you should focus on, and I'm going to say it's your weaknesses, right? Because for me, the backhand was a weakness to the point where I would never film my own form. I wouldn't ask people for help. I just wouldn't do it. I was almost afraid of it, right? Because the forehand was so natural. Playing baseball growing up, that sidearm is just an easy flick of the wrist.
Yep.
If you're doing it incorrectly like I was. But now and today, I'm not forehanding a lot. I think in my last tournament, I threw probably 10 forehands off 36 holes. However, all of them were on point because I spent a year prior only throwing those forehands.
Yep. Yeah, I went
So,
through the same thing. Just yesterday, I had a tournament, one round for the Western Yard Point Series, our first round. I scored the same point, the same one over par like I did last year. But last year I was playing out of my mind. Yesterday I was struggling. I was able to easily get a one over par. But it was really cool because the previous year it was all forehands. I was forcing the work. Now yesterday it was mainly all backhands. I only threw like maybe two forehands the whole round. It's such a huge difference.
such a huge, and I think that progress is cool. I mean, your score was the same, but your mentality was so different. You were like, oh, I could have done so much better. And I guarantee a year ago you were saying, I might never improve.
Yeah,
Right?
like I was like playing out of my mind last year to get to this, but get to the one over par. And now yesterday I was able to struggle, miss a bunch of bird putts, be out of position, scrambling a lot, but then still get the same score, and it felt so easy to do it.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. I have a similar story. Just what's today? Sunday? My days are blending together.
Oh, they
Yesterday
always do.
right? Yesterday morning, I played a course I haven't played since I think it's been over a year now, and my best ever score was 14 over. This is a very difficult course. I will be frank. Par threes are like 330 to 375, so it's a very hard course. I'm not going to lie to
Yeah.
anybody. In the last tournament it hosted, going even is a 900 rated round. So just to give you a little, yeah. So from the layout I was playing at, and I shot even yesterday. So it was really cool to see that 14 stroke difference in a year. Of course, it's practice. It's not a tournament. So there's no pressure.
Yeah.
But it's just cool to see that progress, like you were saying.
Yeah. So are you going to dabble into next division? Are we thinking about time to move up?
Yeah. So this is I, okay. So this is a topic I'm still thinking through in my head. As of right now, I actually got rated out of MA4, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
MA3 now. I'm 855, I think. So that decision's been made. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to go make that jump to MA2 right away, or even potentially MA1. I don't think I'm going to win or compete in MA1. I know that, but I actually have found that when I have to hold myself back, I do a little bit worse. So the
Mm-hmm.
short tee pads in MA4, I might be better on some holes on the longs simply because I can do my full form, right? I don't
Yeah.
have to do a condensed version of my backhand, for example. So I'm still considering it for layouts. I think I'll go tournament by tournament, but at least for the next major tournament I'm doing, which is another B tier, I will be doing MA2 for that one.
Okay.
Mhm.
So because the way our divisions work up here, like MA3 and MA2 play the same layouts. It's the same white tees. Is it the same way for you guys down there?
So it's really tournament by tournament. I don't want to lie. However, it's really MA4 and MA3 having the same layout. MA2 has a
Oh,
different layout, and then MA1 is even different from MA2. And again, that's for the courses that allow that. We have some courses with 3 different tee pads, some with 4, and then some with just 2. So it's a little bit tournament by tournament based.
okay. Because up here we have most of our courses have reds, whites, and blues. So MA4 plays reds, MA3 and MA2 plays whites, and MA1 you do blues and then a round of whites. And MPO obviously plays all blues.
Gotcha. We have very similar to that. Um, it's not really standardized, so it's kind of hard to say. But for the biggest course by us, we have the whites, which are the longest. We have the reds, which are just a little bit shorter, and the greens, which are definitely the shorts. However, for MA4 and MA3, they play at the reds, not the greens.
Now this makes sense why ratings is so different compared to state to state. Now this is all making sense.
Yes, so different. And I've actually seen and Florida in general, because of the sheer population of people that play disc golf in it, ratings are actually pretty hard to get. I don't know if it varies
Yeah,
state to state, but I think it's actually much harder to win an MA4 in Florida than it might be other states.
yeah. I would imagine so because MA4 here, um, like I skipped that and I went right into MA3.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people go into MA4 and then after like two tournaments they're right in MA3. and then people sit in MA3 until you get a win, and then jump up to MA2, and you'll sit there until you get a win, and then jump up again.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And I mean, the tournaments I've been in, just for MA4, you needed a 905 tournament to win the last one, and then you needed a 935 to win the tournament before that. So very difficult. Neither of those guys were sandbaggers, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to put that out there. The gentleman who scored 930 in this tournament, it was his first ever tournament. And let's just be real. If it's your first ever tournament and you're going to score a 935 rated round, play MA4, right?
It's your first that's insane.
Tournament.
MA4 here would not be hitting that. Like, MA4 around here is like around like 840-ish. Yep. So that's wow, okay. Insane. Wow.
It is. So this is a buddy of mine now. His name is Justin as well. He won the Trailblazer, which was the second tournament I was in. It's that A tier I did. Mm-hmm. I think he ended up minus 26 over the 3 rounds of 18. And he was a great player, but it was his first tournament. So you can't knock a guy for being a great player if he's never competed before. That's why I wasn't upset I didn't win that tournament, right? I'm not upset I didn't win the last one either. But you just can't be upset about that because, you know, these guys are just trying to compete and get some wins under the belt.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it just pushes me to be better,
yeah.
Right? I just have to be
exactly.
better
now. Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I jumped up to MA2s, because last year I was in MA3. I could literally have bad rounds after bad rounds and then be in top 4 constantly. So I was like, all right, you know what? I want to jump up, play against better guys where when I have bad rounds, it's actually going to really show. Like, I'll be like towards the bottom, and then I have to work my way up.
Absolutely. So. And think about the advice you get, right? So a lot of my buddies I play with are much better than me. I'm talking MA1 much better than me. And the reason for that is the advice you get from an MA4 card mate. It's not that they're malicious and trying to give you bad advice, but they just simply might not know better, right? They might tell you, oh, you want a hyzer in the wind because it'll do X, Y, and Z, when in reality, that's not the play, right? So just who you surround yourself with is also going to make you a better player, in my opinion.
Most definitely. That's for sure. So what is in your bag currently? Because I'm looking at that felon and I'm like, oh, man, just like my felons hanging up on the wall.
Yes. So a little story about the bag. I'm not going to do a complete in the bag. If you want to one day, we can. It might take a while to go through every single disc.
Yeah.
But I did set aside my main throwers because, like everybody else, I have like 7 discs I play every single round with. Everything else is for if I'm in the woods, oh crap, I need this specific disc, right? So a little story about the bag though. In my first couple of tournaments, I was bagging 33 to 35 discs.
Wow.
I don't know why. No, I have no idea why. I couldn't tell you, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm down to 16. And
perfect.
In these 16, I have all of my shots covered for forehand, all of my shots covered for backhand. I'm extremely comfortable with my shots. And it's never a question of what am I throwing, right? So let me just go through the bag a little bit, and I'll tell you why it's never a question.
Perfect.
So in each slot, I have one disc that covers most of my shots, right? The first one is the Discraft Luna. So this was a gift from my wife for my birthday. We went to the Supreme Flight Open back in February together. This is the 2025 Tour Series. I believe it releases in a couple of days. Z-Swirl plastic, and every single approach shot, if it can be done with a Luna, I'm throwing it with a Luna. The Luna is such a unique disc to me because it is just the most torque-resistant neutral putter I've ever thrown, and that has actually kicked out some of my mid-range slots. So I'm able to get the Luna for my power at about 250 to 260 feet at max distance, and my mid-ranges are about 250 to 270. So I don't really grab the mid-ranges so often because this disc is just so great.
Perfect.
If you have any questions, cut me off. I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
And then the forehand version of my Luna is an Axiom Tempo. I've tried so many different approach discs, and the second I threw a Tempo, I fell in love with it. This is my second Tempo I've ever had. It's really like that zone slot. However, I prefer less fade because I like to be more technical with the way I play. Um, a little bit about how I'm playing now. I think the most important thing of a disc golfer is control.
Hmm.
It used to be power, in my opinion, which is just incorrect now. It's control. So I want to do everything at about 80 to 85% power. I want it to be exactly how I intended to do it. So the tempo, for example, if I'm throwing it at 80% power, it might go straight, or my old zones, they would dump pretty hard.
Yeah.
So it's just finding that good mixture of what you're trying to get out of it, really.
Yeah, out of approach shots, I like using anvils because you can throw them on highs and they dump right where you need them and they just sit. Love it.
Yeah. So I have, for that slot, I've been using a Berg X lately. And
Ooh, okay.
the only reason for the Berg X versus, other great discs, and one of them I have to shout out is the Justice. I've been falling in love with it. I just picked this up after my last tournament, so it's not quite ready to make the bag, but I am very close to it. So Sunflower, I do see you have a question. I'm going to answer it here in just a second, okay? I want to finish this one little statement. I've been using the Berg X in that slot, and the main reason is because I find there's so much glide on the Luna. I wanted to have something that was low glide, but also something that was extremely overstable so that when I throw it out there, it just
Yep.
sits, and
Yep.
it fills both those slots for me. All right, do you have a favorite disc that you like to use? Do you want to answer yours first, and I'll go right after you?
That's my wife that asked that question. She knows my
Oh,
favorite.
she
It's the
knows
Felon.
yours. Perfect. No, perfect. So I am actually about to. Okay, the Luna is my favorite disc right now. I've only had it for a couple months, like I said. It was a gift from my wife, so it means even more to me. Um, but there's a disc that was my favorite, and I've been bagging it since almost the day I started. I think I ordered it about 2 weeks in, and it is the Latitude 64 River. The River is
Yes.
a phenomenal disc for beginners, especially. When you start out, this disc is your everything shot. Throw it on anhyzer, and because you don't have that much power, it's going to pan out. Throw it flat, it's going to go straight for a while and finish nicely. Throw it on hyzer, it stays on hyzer. Now that I've gotten a little bit better, it now fills my understable slot. So I'll throw it on hyzer, get it to flip up straight, throw it flat to get it to turn over. I will never, unless this thing is eaten by a crocodile, it will never leave my bag, ever. So that,
And the glide on those are phenomenal.
whew, it is. So that's another reason I don't bag as many mids. I do have mids. I have, a hex in the bag. I have a fuse in the bag. I have a couple of different mids in there, but I hardly throw them because I would rather power up on the Luna or power down on the river versus grabbing a mid range because it fills the exact same void. And to show you how much I love the river, my entire fairway slot is built off of the river. So I have the river, I have the Explorer, which is my straight option,
Yep.
um, 0-2 stability at my arm speed. It's basically a 0-0. Throw it flat, it stays flat. It's phenomenal. And something giving the Felon a run for its money right now, just gotta let you know, is the Glory. Picked up
Yes.
one of these because I am a huge Rebecca Cox fan and Kristen Lott fan. Um, I've been watching a lot of FPO because it's something that I think I can emulate or I can get closer to emulating.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. They're all out driving me. We all
Oh
know
yeah.
this, right? Kristen can throw that thing 400 on a line.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not doing that. But I think I can emulate that with enough practice and time. And I see them throwing the Glory all the time. So I picked one up. Backhand, it's very overstable, but not like utility. It'll go straight for good 250 before it dumps hard. But forehand, I have been finding it to be that straight fairway I've been looking for a long time. So I've just been in love with this disc.
Yeah. I use the Glory for my standstill flicks. Like I'll stand still and I'll just send it out there. It'll get about 250 and then hook hard right.
Yep.
Perfect.
I call it my baby Felon because that's essentially what it is. It's just a baby Felon. And I love it so much. And this is something I wanted to cover now that I have all three out here. I think it's very important when you are overwhelmed with disc choices to select something based on what you know and what you can throw well, right? So my most dialed slot in the bag are my fairways. And the reason for that is because I spent so much time throwing this river that the hand feel and everything of the Explorer is the exact same thing, but it matches my arm speed now. And the Glory feels very similar to my Felon,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little bit more shallow and it's just more controllable for the distance and speed. What's up, Garrett? I just saw my homie join. Um, so it's a phenomenal, phenomenal slot here, my fairways, and it's all because I built it based off the river that I already knew so well.
That's a perfect way of doing it.
Yeah, and I really do think that has credibility to it. Before, I used to say you want to stick with the manufacturers because, you know, they're going to be pretty similar. I have broken that up a little bit. I took the zone out of the bag to put the tempo in. Most of my mid-range are either Trilogy or Discraft now. Um, but yeah, let me move on to the next slide here. Doing well, Garrett. How you been, man? So the next two are my go-to drivers. So for the understable slot, this is a beat-in Vandal. I picked up the Vandal for National Disc Golf Day in 2023, I think this was. Maybe 24, but I think it was 23. And it's beaten into the point where if I throw it flat, it'll turn the entire flight and it'll never fight out, but it won't burn over. So it's just that perfect understable disc. And I have a philosophy that if your arm speed isn't great, you can't throw distance drivers, right? And you definitely are not going to flip and turn a distance driver. So that's why a 9-speed fills my distance driver understable, because no matter what kind of day I'm having, I can get it to turn. It's just that right speed for me. And I have one more disc. Fun story about this disc. I bagged it when I first started because it was a gift from my father. I lost it in a lake and I had no idea what kind of disc it was. After doing extensive research, I learned it was the Grace. Latitude 64 Grace. It's that 11.6 -1.2. This thing is money. I have been in love with it so far. My very first throw, I broke over 400 for the first time. I've never thrown over 360 a day in my life. I threw it 400. I appreciate you, Garrett. I threw it 400 up a hill. So I landed about 15 feet of elevation, and it was 406. I have been ripping it about 375 every single throw, at least. And I'm not going to lie to you, if you are just getting to the point where you're starting to get some real distance, pick up a Grace. That extra glide, it will go for days, and it has great stability too. You got yours here?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I,
That's perfect for backhand, max drive.
that is it. And I haven't been experimenting in the woods yet. I've only had it for a couple of months, but I will tell you, if it's an open field and I can just let it rip, I'm only grabbing the Grace. It does not matter. And I'd be reluctant to not talk about, this is my first run. I'm not bagging this one anymore simply because I've been trying to beat in a different one, but this is the one that lives in my bag for tournament season.
Yeah.
So this is the first run Sake Bound Felon. This has been a godsend. I send it on a little bit of hyzer, get a tiny bit of flip up, ride straight, and the largest skip you've ever seen in your life. Those big S shapes, I just started getting it about 330 on forehand and about 290 on backhand. Backhand's tough with the Felons. It's so stable. I can't get it that far. But it's probably in my top 5 discs of all time. That is the Felon.
And the nice
And it's funny how we started with that.
And the nice thing is when you flex it on the forehand, it'll get about 330 and it'll hit the ground and give you a huge skip at the end of it too, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been actually trying to find a longer Felon. Haven't been able to yet, so if you have a recommendation.
Oh, I do.
Okay. Where's I have one box for it. I don't know where she went.
Not that. That's one. Nope, not that one. There it is. All right, so this is the V2 version of the Felon. Okay. This is the last run that they did. they retooled it, and it has way more glide. It's going to be less. It's going to be less stable than the first run. So it'll make the S curve a lot wider, but the glide on it goes way further.
Oh, I'm going to have to check one of those out. I appreciate that.
They're on the Dynamic Disc website right now for $13 a disc.
Oh, I'm picking up 3. Say less.
Yeah. Like it's very limited because they're not making them anymore because Ricky Wysocki's obviously not with Dynamic Disc anymore. So yeah,
that was a crazy signing. I did not think he was going to leave this offseason. That's for sure.
Well, I knew he was because he always leaves manufacturers before contract is up. He bounces around so much. I'm actually surprised that he got picked up, honestly.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, if you're looking for longer, more distance out of Felon, definitely pick up that version of it.
I'm definitely going to look it up tonight, actually, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
anything else you want to cover right now? I just want to make sure we hit all our topics.
Let's finish off with what your goals are for this season, and then what your overall goal is for disc golf.
Yeah. So, my season goals actually, I've hit almost all of them so far. So I set these before my first tournament. It was have a 850 rated round. I did that in my second tournament. It was have a bogey-free round in a tournament. Did that as well. It was to finish top 5 in at least one event. I've done that twice now. And because I've hit those, I've kind of set new goals for myself. My new goals for myself are to play with confidence, to hit my C1 putting, because that's what I've been working on the most recently, is just finding that putt, that 25 to 30 range. That's where I've been getting more confidence lately. I'd say I'm probably about 50% at that range, which is much better than the 20 I was at just a few months ago. And then to finally get 900 rated. I think 900 rated by the end of the year would be very solid to get to, but it's going to take a lot of work, of course. So,
yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Overall goals. Just want to make sure I said those too. Overall goals in disc golf, just at the end of it all, I just want to keep enjoying it. I want my son to get into it and to do it with him. He's only 7 months old now, so we got a little bit of time, unfortunately. Got to wait. But I just want it to keep doing it. It's a great sport. It's something that you can do with just about anybody. And I'm no plans of going professional, but one thing I do think the disc golf scene is missing right now is just content creators who are geared more towards beginners. And of course, we have some great ones out there with Robbie C kind of leading that charge of being that head guy. Mm-hmm. But it's just he's just one creator. And with all the disc golf content out there, that's either tutorials, form critique, whatever the case is, it gets very overwhelming very fast for a lot of new players. It's very hard to know what's good advice, what's not good advice, what applies to me and what doesn't. So there might be a little bit of content creation in the plans in the future that's more geared towards, progress and growing as a player. So maybe be on the lookout for that one day.
Cool. Any plans of ever possibly coaching players and mentoring?
So that would be great. I would definitely for my son. Outside of that, let me learn a ton more before I can even consider answering that, right? I played football for 15 years and coached for a couple as well. And even when I was coaching football, I kind of felt like a fraud at some points because I didn't have all the answers. I guess nobody really does, so maybe I'll be a coach one day, but I still have so much to learn and so much to improve upon before I can think about that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope we can do this in the future, get that second check-in to see how the tournaments do.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely be doing more check-ins with you.
Awesome. Well, have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right, cool. Thank you for tuning in. Next week we'll be doing another player check-in with Dom. He'll be on the 19th. We're doing it on Saturday because next week is Easter. So obviously we can't do the show on Sunday. So make sure you tune in next Saturday. And then I'll see you guys then.